So this is the part A of the Khoodeelaar television channel being broadcast on the banner of Baby Angel Geronimo Editions. And you can see the new updated intellectual properties rights declaration just underneath the image of the broadcaster, the host, myself, Muhammad Haque. And this is repeated on the banner underneath. So the Khoodeelaar television channel is introducing for the first time a world exclusive original statement of analysis about the contents, the role, and the purpose, and the effect and the impact of the so called mainstream media in the United Kingdom, in the United States, in Canada, North America, and in the rest of the imperialist states and their agencies and satellites. This is something that is being said here for the first time ever by any broadcaster, publisher, author, and speaker. What is it? What is it that is so new? And what is new is that what has been described and is described as the news is not news at all. Number one. Number two is this is lies. Of course, in various detailed statements, fact that these are lies has been identified, but not in this particularly collective description that I am making now. For example, the dirty diggers, the scum on Monday or Sunday, sorry, scum on Sunday, otherwise known as the sun on Sunday, has got this front page splash. Danny Cipriani, Kelly Brook cheated on Tom with me. And this is supposed to be news. What is the news about Kelly Brook cheating Danny Capriani? Or cheating Tom, whoever Tom is? There is no news. It's complete, absolute tissue. When Kelly Brook was launched on the television channel, Channel 4, in the breakfast program that was originally hosted by Johnny Vaughan, Kelly Brook was described as a tissue, literally describing her skin, her flesh, her body as tissue. Now, Kelly Brook was not expected to be there on the program other than as a tissue, as body, as flesh. It is nearly 3 decades since that happened, and Kelly Brook is now featuring as a cheat, and that is the main news, supposed to be the main news on one of Britain's most popular tabloid news outlets. Now, this is a collective brainwashing exercise supposed to be about news. Now, in the rest of the paper on page 29, so the page 29, page 28 and 29, let's go to page 28 of the same. So that's page 26. So where is page 27 and 28? All right, this is page 28 of the same edition of the Murdoch's Scum on Sunday. And this is the nearly two-page spread, which says, it starts on second part of page 28. And it says, Her Majesty's, that is Queen Brenda, Her Majesty's four-legged and within brackets and two-legged heroes. And it says, funeral stars who still miss ma'am. And there are pictures of the corgis, picture of a horse, picture of another horse, and there is a survey apparently on the state of the opinion of the Little Englanders about what they think of the late Brenda. And the picture that appears under that column, that particular piece headed, and we like our new king. There is a picture of King Brian, but there is no picture of Queen Camilla. There is a picture instead of She Can't Wait to Become Queen, Princess of Wales Kate. Now, nobody reading these things, when I say nobody, I mean the average, ordinary kind of person who reads, buys, patronizes these publications, is either expected to go through the contents and the actual implications the way I am doing. And that is the case. And for the best part of the 200 years or so, since Fleet Street, the newspapers in England began publishing in the form that they are published today, they have been doing this. What they've been doing is lying. They've been lying and they've been misrepresenting. And they're doing this by concealing and concealing the actual day-to-day details of the behavior of the so-called rulers. But the rulers are not confined to the royal family, typified by the Brenda for the best part of the last 80 years or so, and now her son, King Brian, but also extended into the UK so-called executive, the UK government. And the UK government is ratified, if you like, verified, and de facto legitimized by the UK Houses of Parliament. Palace of Westminster, and then it is taken away from Parliament into the regions, into the local councils, into the county councils. So the rulers include the county councils, local councils, and county councillors and local councillors. And all the news that people are presented, and the news that the people subsidize by buying the so called newspapers, are lies, lies against the people. For example, it's not ever the actual facts of the encounters, the contacts that the ordinary individual people have with the various agents and agencies and parts and segments of the rulers. Say, for example, the so called ombudsman. The so called ombudsman report that has been kind of reported in the last week by the BBC about the London Borough of Newham, for example, about the Newham Borough Council, Newham LBC, London Borough Council, being ordered by the so called housing ombudsman to pay an individual complainant £5,400 for the Newham Council's failures to deal with the mold and the damp in the flat. Reading the actual report of the ombudsman, and you can see what the housing ombudsman is saying. Newham Council is to pay £5,400 after failing to resolve a dispute for over 3 for how repeatedly not resident updated on repairs. And the website Housing Ombudsman, www.ombudsman.org.uk news. This is the item on that website. Newham Council to pay £5,400 after failing to resolve damp and mold issues for over 3 years. This is dated the 22nd of August 2023, and there is a picture on the roof, on the ceiling of a damp ceiling, moldy ceiling. And the ombudsman is saying, we, the ombudsman, have found severe maladministration for how Newham Council dealt with damp and mold, taking over 3 years to fix the issue. Remember, we are talking about news. This is the kind of news that should be in the newspapers, but this is not. We have found severe maladministration for how Newham Council dealt with damp and mold, taking over 3 years to fix the issue, and therefore ordering the landlord to pay £5,400 in compensation. The landlord here is the Newham Borough Council. After the resident first complained to Newham Council, the landlord, about the damp and mold, he asked to be kept updated with the findings. But it's not evident that he was kept updated with the findings. A couple of months later, the resident chased the landlord, Newham Council, for a response, and they revisited to supply him with a dehumidifier and suspected that the leak was coming from behind the toilet, although they were still unsure. While that leak was remedied just under a year after it was first reported, damp and mold continued to persist. The resident said the landlord had not carried out any specific works on the damp and mold itself, telling the resident to clean it himself. He also expressed his concerns around safety as the damp areas were affecting the light fittings and the area around the fuse box. In response to this, an operative mode, read that again. In response to this, an operative made sure the electrics were safe but noted severe water penetration from the bathroom. Over the next couple of months, the landlord Newham Council visited the property on several occasions to fix leaks in the shower. Following this, the resident contacted the landlord multiple times to ask what the Newham Council, that is, as landlord, would do about the damp and mold in his home. The landlord said its repairs team would respond. However, there is no evidence to suggest this response happened. While the resident continued to complain about the damp and mold, the landlord continued to fail in updating him on what was happening with his home and actions that could be taken to fix it. 2 years after the first reporting of the issue, the resident requested to be moved to temporary accommodation due to the strong smell of damp throughout the home and a rat infestation he believed was caused by the mold. Over the next 9 months, while works were done to the bathroom to help with the cleaning process, the resident chased numerous times to the walls around his So the Newham Council was ordered. Newham Borough Council in London was ordered by the Housing Ombudsman to apologize to the resident. Okay? The council was ordered. It was not a presumption. It was not a supposition. It was a direct order by the Ombudsman to the Newham Council to apologize to the resident. So when we consulted the so-called independent monthly outlet called Newham Voices, what do we find? Let's check, and I'm going to get a copy of the particular lies that the Newham Voices So the Newham Voices, it is on page 3 of the Newham Voices, September monthly issue, September 2023, and it's a piece that has got the name of Ruby Gregory, the local democracy reporter, as being the reporter for this item. And it doesn't say in the first paragraph, the Newham Council has been ordered to apologize to a resident and to pay them £5,400 compensation and to set up a special anti-dam task force after an investigation by the Housing Ombudsman into a complaint over why it took more than 3 years to fix a mold and damp issue. The housing watchdog found significant failings against the Newham Council and said the resident had been left to live among damp and mold for an unreasonable amount of time. Now, the heading would be that Newham Council has been ordered to apologize to the resident and to pay £5,400, but it doesn't say that in the headline. In the Newham Voices, it says apology and £5,400 payout. It's not a payout, it's a compensation. As council acts over mold and damp failures, it doesn't. The whole report doesn't say that the council has acted over mold and damp failures. What the Ombudsman's report we have read, the summary of the Ombudsman report says, is that the council lied, repeatedly lied, and failed to do the things that it said it had done. So why did Newham Voices distort the heading, misrepresent the item in the heading apology and £5,400 payment as council acts? That is the active image of the council, which is the opposite to the contents of the Newham Council's failures as investigated and found by the Housing Ombudsman. This is a clear intentional distortion and misrepresentation. Does Ruby Gregory agree? And we shall be commenting on Ruby Gregory, and we shall communicate to Ruby Gregory to get her actual response to this. And then we shall continue. Now, going back to the actual suppression of the news, this is an example. If the day-to-day or the regular service-related contacts between the ordinary individuals and the local councils, if these contracts were actually reported, then these kind of details would show that the local councils are deliberately lying about their duties to the local residents. They're misrepresenting what they're doing and they're hiding the of their actual failures. So if you multiply by the numbers of people in each borough, on average, let's say how many people there are in New York. Let's see what the number of the population is. Let's say the voters number. Let's check the voters number. So in the 2019 election, there were 40. Let's see how many it is saying. Registered voters are 47 million, 568,611, and the turnout was 67.3%. That is 1.5 pp. I don't know what that is referring to. And how many? So the population of the United Kingdom 2023 is 67,736,802, and it was only 200,000 less in 2022. So the UK population, as it is showing on the website, Worldometers info, UK population live 67,776,554. Now, if you multiply the numbers of encounters between the individuals who need the services of local council by the number of people, then you will find literally hundreds of millions of incidents happening. But if you look at the newspapers, if you look at the newspapers even for a whole year, published every day except the severe holidays like the Christmas time holiday, you will not even suspect that there was anything like even 1,000, let alone hundreds of millions of incidents of failures by the local councils as against the rights of the individuals that are entitled to service and accountability by the local councils. So there is no news. It's a complete darkness. But the darkness is disguised. Disguised by what? The darkness is disguised cleverly by what? Most often, in the case of the scum, dirty digger, Rupert Murdoch scum. It is the flesh. It is the flesh of Amanda Holden on page 27 in the column fronted by Karen Brady, or it's the flesh of Kelly Brook cheating Danny Capriani and then cheating Tom with Danny Capriani. And it's on the daily. This is the Sunday one, the daily one. But even in the Sunday, Scum on Sunday, there is this picture of Helen Flanagan, and it is naked picture of Helen Flanagan. So they're hiding the truth by putting in your face naked pictures, near naked pictures of almost always the white women, young women. That is how they're doing it. That is how they're hoodwinking it. They're hoodwinking the people, misleading the people, brainwashing the people, lying to the people. That is what they're doing. And the only time they have the individual kind of cases of disservice is when they have a favorite individual like Richard Tice. Now, Richard Tice is connected with Nigel Nasty Farage, and Richard Tice is one of the people who was one of the leading forces campaigning against the continued membership of the United Kingdom of the European Union. In other words, the Brexit. He's a Brexiteer, and this one in the Scum on Sunday, it says the heading says on page 6, proof Tice got debanked to reform UK boss risk. What they're saying there is by Westminster Bank and the resignation of the chief executive over the fact that she discussed Nigel Farage's private personal data with a BBC reporter. The only individual that has been given the detailed, specific coverage about their banking service or the banking rights being withdrawn from them or denied to them is Richard Tice. Now, if you multiply the number of debanking incidents done by the banks against ordinary individuals who are not members of a political grouping or pressure group, you would find that every single year, every financial year, during every financial year, the United Kingdom banking service providers have withdrawn banking services from individuals hundreds of millions of times. Hundreds of millions of times. Then you've got the item about this individual called Osama bin Laden. Now it says that a supermarket, it says the Asda had unwittingly an employee who has turned out to be a terrorist connected with Osama bin Laden in Watford. The Asda store in Watford, not Osama bin Laden in Watford. And the pages, the next pages 8 and 9, there is a detailed profile of the just deceased Muhammad Al Fayed, about whom they're saying, after decades of blaming Prince Philip, MI6, and the establishment for killing Di and Dodi, in his final years, Al Fayed at last started to accept it was an accident. Well, if Al Fayed had read this and if they had published it while he was alive, it is impossible to see how he would have accepted that. But that is what they are claiming now. Apparently, he died on the 30th of August, a day before Dodi, his son, and Diana were murdered in France. And then there is this idea about the murderer of James Bulger, the child murderer Venables, and they're saying that Venables could go free in weeks. Now, these are not items that actually reflect ordinary people's encounters with the service providers, which is what I am saying for the first time today historically. The newspaper should be doing if they are to be worthy of being called newspaper. Items like this about Venables, about Al Fayed, about Richard Tice, about Nigel Farage, these items should be separately treated as warranting separate treatment, but warranting less important separate treatment than the really important items that must be about the individual's day to day encounters and experience with the ordinary service providers. For example, that man in Newham, London, who was mistreated, lied to about the damp and the mold in his home. And the lies that the Newham Voices says in the heading are motivated by the Newham Voices editorially sucking up to Roxana Faya's fronted regime. They don't want to upset Roxana Faya's fronted regime in Newham because they've got a vested interest in keeping her pleased with the propaganda and undermining the actual impact of her failures. When I spoke to Roxana Fiaz's predecessor in post of the mayor at the expense of Newham on live television on the 14th of March 2018, I elaborated on the details of the lies that Robin Wales, the mayor, had instituted in Newham while he became incumbent for 16 years in the post of mayor, 2002 until 2018. I said to Robin Wales on live television that he had created an atmosphere of anti democratic, undemocratic intimidation against the councillors in place in Newham who had, I use the word, cowered under his intimidatory frontage of the Newham Council in the post of mayor at the expense of Newham. I told him that he had said to one of the residents of Newham that if you can't afford to live in Newham, you can't afford to live in Newham, which was the brazenest, most brazen denial of basic rights as against the obligations of the local council that an individual has. And Robin Wales was brazenly making that kind of denial statements. And the newspaper, the media didn't actually cover. I also pointed out to him that he had insulted a campaigning group called E15. E15 is the postcode, postal area of Stratford, where the old Neom Town Hall used to be. So that was one of the things that I said to Robin Wales on live television, appearing on the 14th of March 2018. I said that Robin Wales had claimed, wrongly, I said that he had claimed that the reason why there were problems in housing in Newham was because the council, the government, the Tory government, he said, had introduced stringent, draconian, oppressive, financially penalizing, punitive policies against the kinds of people that lived in Newham and needed the kind of service that the people in Newham needed. So I said to Robin Wells that he was entitled, according to the Constitution, to take the government and challenge the government in an English court of law. And Robin Wales answered on live television on the same program, same edition, that he had been legally advised not to take legal action against the court action against the UK Conservative government. So I said to Robin Wales on live television on the 14th of March, hello, hold on. Hello, who's that? Or did somebody knock on my door?
Yes, I made a mistake. He might wanted him. He might wanted. I made a mistake. Sorry.
Yeah, but many people keep knocking on my door thinking that it's Simon's.
He might wanted. Sorry about that, darling. Okay, go back and take care of it. We'll talk later. Sorry.
So the newspapers are completely, absolutely wrong to ignore that, because my encounter with Robin Wales, broadcast live on satellite television channel, was absolutely historic in that for 16 years he had been in post. By the time I challenged him on the 14th of March 2018, Robin Wales had been in the post, incumbent as the mayor at the expense of Newham, since 2002, which is 16 years. And in the 16 years, Robin Wales perpetrated a lot of outrageous denials against the duties that the Newham Council owed to the people of Newham, the electors of Newham, residents of Newham. But no newspaper, no media actually published, covered a single item about this in any significant way. So my encounter was not only in terms of the numbers, in terms of the occurrences, in publicly challenging him, unique. It was historically absolutely very significant and unique, and in the context of the whole of the United Kingdom. And after I challenged Robin Wales, a number of people, members of the Labour Party in Newham, contacted the program and openly expressed their appreciation and their gratitude to me, not speaking to me. They spoke to the person who presented the program and who received the calls. And he said to me within the next 24 hours that he didn't give me the number of people calling him, but he said a large number of people watching the program had called him and thanked him, and specifically asked him to thank Mr. Muhammad Haque for holding Robin Wales to account in the way that Mr. Muhammad Haque did hold Robin Wales to account on the 14th of March 2018. So, what I'm saying is that for 200 years, British newspapers, so called, have been publishing lies. They have not been publishing this kind of news. Now, yesterday, at the entrance to the Whitechapel Underground Station, yesterday, that is Saturday, the 2nd of September 2023, I spoke to three Bangladeshi people, and one of the persons said hello to me. Now, I didn't at first recognize the individual, and it took me a few seconds before I remembered, with his help, who he was. And by the time I remembered who he was, I also remembered what he had done several years previously. And what he had done several years previously was an incident dealing with my various claims, outstanding claims against the Taramris Council. And I wanted him to have a meeting with me at that time, which meeting I would have used to explain to him what was going on. So this individual refused to attend the meeting with me, which is what I remembered yesterday. And I told him that he had done that, so therefore I was not very pleased to meet him again because he has betrayed a very serious duty that he owed, because I had asked him to attend so that he would know exactly what was going wrong in the behavior of the Taramris Council. And he said that he was busy. I said he could not be busy. In the context of the importance of the issue that I had to share with him, there could not be any other things that could be more important than what I had to share with him. Now, the other issue was raised by someone called Shamsuddin Shams. He said he didn't know where I was. He said that he was looking for me for some time, and the other day he thought about where I could have been, and he wondered that I might have moved to Romford or some place like that. And then he said, I think by the time he said that, he remembered that I had been let down by Taramlis Council and Lutfur Rahman, and he said that we should do something about Lutfur Rahman providing you housing. And my response was that it was Lutfur who caused the problem, and he would not provide any housing. He would go to any distance, any extent of distance to cause extra problems, to deny me housing. That's what I said. Now, these are very serious issues. These are serious issues if the individuals like me and they are being let down by the councils like Tar Hamlers are given the actual news treatment by the newspapers or the new outlets that do call themselves newspapers, then there would be nothing. There would be no room for tissue Kelly Brook or her tissue boyfriends or tissue whatever. And yet they don't give any space, let alone the adequate space, to this kind of letdown and betrayal and illegalities by Harmonious Council and any of the 362 councils. Let's check how many councils there are in the United Kingdom or in England. How many local councils in England? Let's start. Okay, so London, other metropolitan areas, and parts of Shire, England, operate under a single tier structure, with councils responsible for all services in their area. In total, there are 317 local authorities in England, made up of 5 different types: county councils, district councils, and so on. County councils, district councils, unitary authorities, metropolitan districts, and London boroughs. So, two tier ones, there are 21 county councils, there are 164 district councils, there are 62 unitary authorities, there are 36 metropolitan districts, and there are 32 London boroughs, plus City of London 1, Isle of Scilly 1. So 317. Some Shire district councils, including unitary authorities and all metropolitan district councils, have the status of either a borough or a city and are referred to as borough or city councils. But there is no statistics on audit. I'm checking on the facts about that. How local councils are audited. This is a post in the UK Parliament website, committees parliament.co.uk, sorry, committees.parliament.uk. Unacceptably high backlog in local government audit system. This is an item in the committee. The unacceptably high backlog of audit opinions for local government bodies may get worse before it gets better. The Public Accounts Committee report today says the delays to publishing audited accounts for local government bodies increases the risk of governance or financial issues being identified too late and hinders accountability. Listen to the amount, for 100 billion pounds in local government spending, with knock on impacts for central government and the NHS. Only 12% of local government bodies received audit opinions on their finances in time to publish accounts for 2021 to 2022 within the already extended deadline for local authority accounts publication. Over 400 local government bodies missed this deadline. With the accumulation, I'll read that again. Over 400 local government bodies missed this deadline, with the cumulative backlog of unpublished opinions rising to 632 for 2021 to 2022. The scale of the issue suggests the position for 2022 to 2023 may deteriorate, with the Government and Financial Reporting Council worryingly unable to say when these issues will be addressed. And there is similar vein, a negative prospect about any audit and reporting. So, what I'm saying, the newspapers, so called newspapers, the outlets that are called newspapers, don't publish anything like this. This particular insight coming from the Public Accounts Committee itself, the House of Commons Committee, is ignored by the newspapers. They don't have anything to do with saying what even these moderately worded comments by the committees in the Houses of Parliament are saying in critical terms about the failures and negligence and lack of duties and unfitness for purpose by the local councils. So, this is again evidence that the newspapers are hiding, they're lying. So, for example, in the column that Tony Parsons has on this Come on Sunday, or in a piece a woman called Jemima Kelly has got Financial Times online, they are repeating the lie that the criminal Donald Trump, who has been charged with 91 counts of felony in the USA, and his mugshot taken by the police in Georgia, the fact that he has got a mugshot as a criminal, they are saying that this mugshot has become a winner for him. And they are saying that the mugshot has become a iconic celebrity thing that is helping Donald Trump not only just in popularity, but in also raising funds for him and his campaign to become the Republicans' nominee at the next USA presidential election. So this is Tony Parsons' take. Of course, it's a take that he has borrowed. He has borrowed widely, and it is writing based on complete falsehood and dishonesty on his part, Tony Parsons. He's saying Kia is done and dusted. For the first time in decades, the US and UK elections cycle seemed set to align. Donald Trump could be re entering the Oval Office just as Keir Starmer measures the curtains in 10 Downing Street. Reagan and Thatcher, Clinton and Blair, Bush and Blair. There have been some great love matches between American presidents and British prime ministers. Trump and Starmer seem unlikely to hit it off. It would be even worse than having Brit hating Biden in the White House. 5 years ago, Starmer tweeted, "Humanity and dignity, two words, two words not understood by Donald Trump." That's what Tony Parsons is saying. Let's continue with this. Keir's colleagues have been even ruder. A hard right nasty thug, Angela Rayner called Trump. David Lammy led protests against Trump's 2018 visit and raged about this president's divisive politics of hate. Remember when the US and UK were going to do a fabulous trade deal? Best not hold our breath. Trump is notoriously thin skinned. Biden may forget what country he is in, but Donald Trump will recall every slight and insult. So, what they are saying, he's using the same mug picture, the mugshot picture, but he's using the context of the relations between the possible UK Prime Minister and a possible return by Donald Trump to the White House after the next election. This woman, Jemima, let's check the Jemima promotion for the mugshot Donald Trump in the Financial Times. Now, this is the one that editors picks. And this is a piece by Jemima Kelly. And the heading to her piece is Trump's status as an anti hero is making him unstoppable. Now, this is the piece that actually prompted me to time my world historic analysis that newspapers are lies papers. And this Jemima Kelly is artificial, as ill read, ill thought as can be found in any of the mainstream media in the USA or in the UK. So she's saying it's under opinion, Donald Trump. Trump's status as an anti hero is making him unstoppable. That's a complete pack of lies. The appeal of the former president's mugshot and inability to stick to a script are all part of the fascination. It seems that she is already kind of too embarrassingly excited too much by their filth. If anyone had hoped that the dubious distinction of becoming the first American president to have a police mugshot taken might be a humiliating or humbling experience for the person concerned, or that four criminal indictments, 91 felony counts, and an enforced tour of US courtrooms in the run up to an election might precipitate some kind of fall in popularity. They must be feeling somewhat disillusioned. And she goes on, and I'm not going to read everything there because I've already read this for the purpose of fact checking already once. I'll go to the last paragraph, and she says the question is, can anyone beat an anti hero, and how? The fictional version often tend to bring about their own downfalls. Certainly a possibility for Trump, but not one that can be relied upon. In the real world, what might be more effective are the kind of virtues associated with heroism: courage, conviction, humility, honesty, and fortitude. These are unfortunately in short supply. That makes Trump's increasingly anti heroic status increasingly threatening. Well, Jemima.Kelly at ft.com is completely stupid because what she doesn't say and what she cannot say ever is what is the attraction and what about the thinking inside the individuals that are fascinated by him. What are they seeing in that mugshot? What are they seeing in that mugshot in relation to their day to day lives? Item by item, item by item, item by item, thousands of items of each American voter's lives during any 4 year period. What are they seeing he will do about any of those issues that they face? The money, lack of war is the, lack of money, lack of security. What are they seeing will be the actual delivery of what solution, what part of the solution to what aspect of their problems, their needs, and the demands. Jemima Kelly doesn't say that. So it is not true to say that he is going to be unstoppable. Because you have to explain what are the things that will make him unstoppable. She doesn't say that. We shall be coming to an end at 1 minute approximately of this edition at this time, and I shall continue the maximum questions in